what I want to show you here are some of the metrics that are possible with warranty, especially from an external point of view. If you're internal to a company, I think you can do much more with your metrics. For instance, you can figure out failures per unit, failures per thousand, and get a much more exact run rate on months or weeks of production, the age of a product based on when it was made or when it was sold, and and so on and so forth. Internally, I think the metrics are much richer than they would be externally. But let's look at 5 different metrics, external metrics. You see 3 of them on this slide and 2 on the next slide, but let's look at this one first. The blue bars at the bottom, this is the actual spending by Harley-Davidson. It's a US-based motorcycle company. The blue bars are the actual amounts that they're spending per quarter on repairs of those motorcycles under warranty. You see that it peaked in 2008. Just under $22 million was spent in the 3rd quarter of 2008 fixing those motorcycles. If you then take that amount and divide it by the amount of sales, you come up with a percentage rate, which is shown by the red line, the claims rate. For that quarter, the claims rate for Harley-Davidson also peaked, somewhere very close to 1.7%. It's been down since, but what you notice is that the last 4 quarters have been the highest ever. That's very important. They've averaged around 1.5%. This means that Harley-Davidson is paying 1.5% of its motorcycle revenue back out in warranty repairs. It's not a very high rate, but it's much higher than it's been. You see that back in 2003, 2004, and 2005, the company was spending less than half as much based on revenue on its warranty repairs. Also, what you see there as the green line is the amount that they're setting aside to finance those warranty claims in the future. Back in 2003, 2004, 2005, the company was actually setting more aside in accruals than it was spending on claims. Somewhere in the middle of 2006, that pattern reversed itself. And ever since, in 2007, 2008, and 2009, the company has been spending more on claims than it is setting aside and saving for the future in accruals. That's very important to see that gap between the two. Let's flip to the next slide. Inevitably, the result of that is that the amount of money the company has on reserve to pay warranty claims has begun to fall. You see that that peaked in the 2nd quarter of 2008, and every quarter since it has been down. What that means is that for the past year and a half, the warranty reserve for Harley-Davidson has been contracting. This is the green bars that you see here. These are the ending balances in the warranty reserve. At the end of the 2nd quarter was the end of the 2nd quarter of 2008. So just around a year ago, in June of 2008, the balance peaked and has been falling since. In the dark blue line above it, what I'm measuring there is sort of a capacity to pay, if you will. In other words, the warranty reserve, let's pick a quarter. Let's pick that 2nd quarter of 2008. The balance, I'm sorry, one second. The balance in the warranty reserve was $81 million, and based on the rate at which warranty claims were being paid, that $81 million would have lasted around 16.5 months. It immediately began to drop. In fact, it dropped below a year. And only once in the next 4 quarters was it at 12 months. The other 3 times it was below 12 months. That's somewhat dangerous because if you're selling products with a 1-year warranty and you fail to put aside enough money to pay those claims, at some point you may have to take money out of other funds to pay for warranty claims, and that's going to lead to reduced income, reduced profits, and very bad news for shareholders. Let me show you one more example. Caterpillar. Let's go to the next slide, please. This is a construction equipment company. They also make truck engines. What you immediately notice is that since 2003, the trend has been steadily upward in terms of the amount of claims paid by this company, up until the very most recent quarter, the second quarter of 2009. However, the 2 lines, the red line and the green line, have been more or less averaging 2.4%. They go up, they go down a little bit, but they generally stay close to that average, except in the last 6 months. Now, what's happened here is that, frankly, sales have declined rather quickly because of the recession. And what's happened at Caterpillar is they have not responded to that decline. In fact, they're putting less aside in accruals now than they were in 2008. Also, because the claims rate is divided is found by dividing the amount of claims paid by sales made. When sales decline to the extent that they have, what happens to the claims rate is that it just absolutely spikes. And you can see that very clearly here from this chart. As the recession really began to take hold, claims spiked, accruals dropped, and if we could jump to the next slide. You see again that the warranty reserve has begun to decline. Now, to their credit, I would say that they are generally trying to keep the capacity of their warranty reserve between 12 and 14 months. And they've been fairly successful at doing that for the past 3 years after some fluctuations earlier. But by picking these examples, I don't mean to single out these companies, but what I wanted to say is that neither of these pairs of charts demonstrate to me that the company is mastering the science of maintaining key ratios in its warranty spending. I don't know what measures they use internally, but from an external observer's point of view, these companies, they're not managing their warranty finances as accurately and expertly as some other companies. If I were to show you further examples from companies such as Sun Microsystems or Ford Motor Company, for instance, what you would see is that many of these lines especially are fairly flat because they just don't show the variation or the fluctuation that you see from these companies. So again, my message to you is, first you must measure where you are before you can, accurately predict where you're going. And with that, let me hand it over to Manish.